And here we go with game number 2, and it's really on migration, quite obviously. So, looking at the water overall, it doesn't seem like that anybody is having any kind of reason to be angry about anything. It seems like that both corners, or rather all 4 corners, are kind of equal on the fish distribution, not really any kind of problem. Really bountiful fish all around, and yeah, the placements of the islands are not really bad either. What could be a slight problem is that yellow is kind of far away from J squared. Yeah, that's really cut off and might be slightly worrisome for some kind of battle between them and their opponents if maybe blue together with teal decide to go to the top island, or rather to the top water battle against yellow and also purple. At this point though, let's just check how is it looking with the islands. You can see that yellow's Elkwark's island seems to be kind of okay. The gold is, yeah, kind of borderline. Maybe if it were slightly closer, it would be threatening from the water, but at this point it isn't. I'm just going to turn off the chat real quick. There's a lot of guys talking and whatnot. Hope it's the correct command, this one or the other one. Not really remember at this point, but anyway. Moving to the other guy, which is at this point, or rather who is J squared, also having pretty decent map, even though decent. He's not having all that much tree line. This cliff is maybe taken a bit from what he would really like. Yeah, he's definitely having less than his ally yellow, and it might be a slight problem for him, and he's really overall having quite a low amount of wood. He's literally having none. That's slightly problematic, but he's kind of lucky that he's a pocket, so we can actually decide to go into landing faster, and he might be kind of pressured into it because, yeah, this is not really something that he could sustain a prolonged water battle with. At any rate, the last to have a look at is right now green, and he's having a very unfortunate mine. Yeah, it's kind of not really open from all sides, even though it's not really all that terrible. He can mine it from enough sides, but really you don't really want to see that. It's slightly better if it's kind of open, which it isn't at this point, and especially when you see that the stone is going to be in range from the water, so all the more reason for BFs to fight for the water as much as they can. The first to have a look at from the DmX is right now Yuzi, who is having, well, not a huge amount of wood either, but not really as bad as purple. And well, this is pretty nice placement, and I don't see really any problem whatsoever for him. Otherwise, he's just having not any deer, he's just having some extra. Oh, he actually also killed. He already killed them. Okay, so sorry about that. He did have the deers, but he also has some extra berries here, so yeah, that's okay for him. Very nicely placed relic, or very nicely placed. This is kind of curious. This one peninsula, because this means that Teal will have to build a dock around here, exactly as he did, and from there he will be able to help his teammate. But if he built this dock somewhere here, that would have been absolutely terrible, as they would have to run all around this stupid promontory. Well, that wouldn't be ideal at all. So fortunately that won't be happening for the DmX. And switching into another point of view from Shorkies, and yeah, it seems like that most of the players are right now having fun with trying to lure the deer next to the TC so that they don't have to build another mill, which they probably will because of these berry bushes anyway, but yeah, they want to save as much as they can so that they can build extra fishing boats. Right now though, this is resulting into Shorkies actually having a slight downtime because he wasn't fast enough with luring the deer right inside the base. So he is forced to go for the forage bush, and well, he definitely has to hope that he can actually push the deer right inside, that it doesn't actually bolt, I don't know, yeah, away, like this. Well, that was very close. That was very close, and yeah, he has to be super careful, because so far it seems like that he doesn't want to build the mill. And well, he's finally forced to, so he is, and I'm kinda thinking that he really was forced to do so, because without it he would be just running all the way to the TC for too long, and that would slow him down quite substantially. Well, blue is doing pretty much the same, trying to lure some of the deers right inside, and oh, well, this isn't ideal, the stone. This isn't ideal at all. That's kinda having just 2 or 3 tiles that can be gathered from, and that's absolutely horrible for him if he is going for that anytime soon. And since he is, what kind of civilization? He's Han, well, he might not need it all that much, so that's okay. If he was maybe Mayan or whatnot, he could be needing it, but not anytime soon, because he is Han, and yeah, so no problem as much as it looked. Looking at the civilization right now, do we see a mirror? Yeah, we see perfect mirror. Japanese Han Vikings, so it's not really any kind of problem. And for the pockets, we have blue as Han, and purple is Vikings. So Viking could have been better placed on some of the sides here, which is not really happening, but well, yeah, doesn't really matter, I kind of think, in this team game, because it's just going to be decided where each of the teams decides to concentrate the water battle. So Yellow's jock is aggressive one, actually, to stay at the very forefront, so he's not really thinking about building a dock next to his teammate or whatever, and it almost seems like that Purple is kind of thinking that he will be helping at the top to Elquark, who is the first to advance into Feudal Age, and well, at this point it doesn't really seem like he will be forced to choose the side at this point, because yeah, it's just going to be resulting from how the game develops. Second dock is basically just for the secure landing and making sure that he has protected way to the mainland here. And green is at the bottom, so basically the same as yellow, and it seems like pretty much the same placement from his opponents. Like Yuzi is having, well, also one dock at the back. He is trying to capture as much fish as he can, and well, Teal seems to be at this point aiming for the bottom side, so it seems like a bit of a mishap, because at the same time BF are aiming for the north, whereas DmX are aiming for the south, for the double on the water. Blue is building his first dock, or is it first dock? It should be second. Yeah, it is second. And he's also aiming for the bottom, so he's not really aiming for the top either. And it almost seems like that they will be aiming for some kind of triple. Well, they will definitely be forced to do something different, because yellow will be the first to advance. Big Teen is second, so yeah. I'm kind of thinking it won't be really all that much difference, because the time that it's going to take the galleys from yellow to arrive at blue's base is just going to result in blue waiting with the first post of his. And yep, that might be just enough time, like the minute or half a minute difference, to make up for that kind of deficit in the feudal age advance. Looking at the mainland, is there something interesting to be worried about for either of the teams? Doesn't seem so. This is kinda interesting. This amount of gold for a DmX. Yeah, that's not really bad. This will be very nice placement of potentially town center or castles or whatever. This will be very nice landing about here. And for the BF team, it's kind of more spread out, but I don't really see any kind of problem with the map either. A lot of gold also for the taken, so it will be just decided who does better overall in the game. Even though looking at it complexly, it almost seems like there is more gold on the more like north side of the map, but still it's not really all that DmX, it's also BF's, because obviously yellow is a very north placed himself, so he should be having taking care of this gold by himself. So yellow is finally arriving at the blue's doorstep. And is this going to be the scenario as we have predicted? Yeah, pretty much. It's even worse actually than we could have thought, because Elkmark is just going right now into four galleys with just two, and yeah, that's definitely not something that he wanted. And he could use those extra sheep to to do some scouting for his team. We probably should just shift click somewhere and send them all around the map. He could, well, doing so far, and it could buy him some extra intelligence on how the map looks like and where is the next best place to actually land. So far not happening though, and let's have a look what Purple is doing. Is Purple going for some boats? Not yet, but he is just now advancing into Feudal Age with 31 villages, so he's having quite a huge amount of them, together with 20 fishing boats. Well, that's quite a lot, and he's better than the best from DmX, which is Yuzi, with 28 villas and 18 fishing boats, so well, quite curious, and I'm kinda thinking the J-Square will be booming quite heavily, and well, is it going to result in some kind of slink into these allies? It would be kinda curious looking how he's Viking, so he should be fighting on the water. But so far it's not happening, and well, at the bottom we see first engagement between green and red. With green having the decided upper hand, and he has already caught some extra fishing boats here, and they are just running to the right side, trying to protect themselves, but they might be caught if green does enough about that. Well, so far he isn't doing enough, and Yuzi is also advancing into the castle edge pretty fast. It doesn't seem like that Elkbark will be joining him anytime soon. He is right now just having a, well, I was going to say having battle, but he isn't, and Victini is going into castle as well, and yeah, here we see The first kind of slink from J squared and slink is going to be happening from BF. So is that going to be the correct decision? Well, we'll see soon enough. And finally, yellow is using those sheep that he has discovered by his boats and making some land provisioning and trying to make sure that he knows what's happening all around the map. Right now, though, at the very bottom, it seems like that Philip JS is having a decided upper hand on the water battle, quite obviously, because Yuzi isn't doing anything about it as he's advancing into castle and maybe hoping that he can win the battle through some war galleys into Castle H. So let's see if that's going to be the correct decision. And let's switch into Yuzi if he is finally hiding some units inside the docks here. Yeah, he was at least one galley. At least one galley, and he will be probably right now concentrating on defending with his ally Steel, but at this point I'm kinda thinking that they are not thinking about water at all, the DmXs. They are just thinking about fast landing, which is not happening yet, but they're not really preparing for any kind of water battle whatsoever. They're not engaging. Blue is just basically defending against yellow, waiting for yellow to do something about that. And well, at the same time, green is raiding into teal, and red is right now the only one from DmX that is engaging in the battle, and well, obviously successfully. But is he successful at his home base as well? Not so far, but war galleys are obviously being researched, and well, Philip JS has to hope that they won't be in enough numbers before he himself advances into Castle Age and upgrades into war galleys as well. So a lot of researches into war galleys without any kind of water engagements or whatever. Whereas Philip JS is just doing a pretty good job trying to at least disrupt the economy of his opponent, and he's also having a bit of a shot here at this tree line, just landing one of those to this kind of goal. And well, yeah, that's pretty much it, and he's right now trying to make sure that he catches some of those boats. Right now though, he has to be super careful because he is having a decided disadvantage in the economy here, or rather in the upgrades, but still, since he's having large numbers, much larger than his ally rather than his opponent, yeah, he's having like 10 against 4, that's still pretty good enough, even though he's fighting against much bigger boats. He needs to wait for the Castle Age and the war guys himself. Another engagement though is happening at the very top, where yellow is just waiting for war galleys himself before he engages, and I'm kinda thinking it will be a pretty equal battle right now, and it should be going for yellow, because obviously he's fighting next to the 5 docks that he's having on the left side of his island, and yes, he's able to replenish his units quite faster than his opponent. This should be a battle that blue should be running from, and I'm not exactly sure why he isn't. This is not an engagement that he can win anytime soon. Even though he seems to be slightly winning, really, this is just waiting for the inevitable to happen, because Quark is fighting next to his docks yet again. We need to stress the importance of this. And, well, let's see how well he will do. He needs to spread those out into the other docks so that they are slightly faster, and well, blue finally recognizing that this is not the battle that he should be taken, and that's pretty much it. You haven't seen all that much extra slinging, so it was a bit of a sling so that yellow can advance into the Castle Age sooner, and well, Quark has, or rather J Squared has already landed and is trying to build stables to protect what he has here and potentially raid his opponents who haven't landed yet. None of them have landed, and well, finally they are thinking about it, at least Red. And well, Red is having his hands full, actually defending against the army from Philip JS. And it seems like that Philip JS is going to be having an upper hand quite substantially, as he is literally winning here. And yeah, he's going to see that Red is right now landing, and he will try to disrupt that, at least with the boats. Can he hit some of those? Yeah, he could, but he's probably not going to kill any. Yeah, that was very close indeed. And well, at least though they know, and since J Squared is going to be quite faster in putting up his base, he should be able to oust him off the island pretty soon. Hill is doing something substantial. No, he isn't. He's just going to be raided by the Japanese from Philippe JS, and right now his economy is going to be disrupted quite substantially, and it seems like that yellow is just waiting for the right moment as well for the engagement with blue. And blue has somehow retreated, so he will be probably waiting to maybe join at the very bottom to help his red teammate, or maybe he will be just waiting here to make sure that he is landing safely without any kind of opposition from his opponents, obviously. Green is basically occupying Yuzi's naval places here. Yeah, he's all around this island, so this basically means if Red's landing is not successful, he's just going to be put out of the game altogether. And since Green is paying pretty good attention to how Shorkis is playing together with Victini, if maybe some help will be coming to Red, yeah, he doesn't really need to worry about his opponent, Red, getting out of hand. At this point you can see that Purple is already having quite a decent amount of knights just running all around the island. Let's switch into J squared, how much of a fog of war he has already discovered, and well, quite a substantial amount, and he's right now just trying to make sure that he knows where everything is, using even the sheeps here, the sheep. And he will be quite soon discovering the red TC, which is kinda close, I think. Yeah, he should be getting there very soon, but still, he's not finding it, and yeah, the sooner he finds it, the sooner he can actually delay Red from doing anything, and maybe force an kinda early GG, but that's not happening anytime soon yet. Yellow has landed as well, so that's the second BF that is making an appearance on the mainland here, with Victini advancing into Imperial Age, so he's maybe waiting for some more favorable engagement for him, for normal galleons. Yeah, that is exactly it. And do we see someone else actually advancing? Well, Shorkis is still in feudal, so is he slinging still into Victini? We'll see soon enough, but since he is in feudal, that's obviously what's going to be happening here. And unfortunately for Red, he is right now in range on the gold gathering here, so that's not ideal, and he will be losing in the economy battle pretty soon. At the same time, Victini is the only one in Imperial Age, so he could be the one to actually turn the battle around. So even though this is basically 2v2 in the landing, it still was going so far for BFs, as J squared was by far the first to advance into the mainland here, and he's having pretty good economy already, a lot of villages, and he's trying to make sure that this front base is basically his and unopposed by this castle. And since it's very close to Red's base, and right now Purple is very well aware what is happening here and trying to build a monastery, well, that's going to be it. No monastery for you, even though the second one will be built, and at the same time he's having quite enough units at this point that he might be able to kill those even without any kind of conversion before that happening, though bongs are pretty good against knights, obviously. So this is the engagement that Blue was waiting for. He has finally sent his armies into attack because he's having galleons and yet again having pretty substantial advantage in the upgrades. And is Yellow going to somehow recuperate from this? I'm not exactly thinking so, because J squared is the one advancing into Imperial Age, with Shork is advancing into Castle just yet, and I'm kinda thinking that Yellow needs to be careful and probably just abandon the water, and since he's already landed in pretty opportune place and he's really thinking about it, he might be just not interested enough in the water. They don't really need it at this point, because they are already landed quite well, and this is just going to be about the battle on the mainland and how fast they can kill their opponents. Victini is also landed with second town center, and he's so far the only one in Imperial, with J squared being very close indeed, even though Shorkis is the last to advance into castle. He is right now being kinda killed overall, because Green is just having fun with Red, who has been put out of the water altogether. And it's just a question of time before all those boats destroy all they can and move into the next target, and that's going to be deal the Shorkis player. Green is also landed at the very bottom, and it seems like that Red is an absolutely horrible spot because he is between all three BFs. And I'm not exactly thinking that, yeah, BF right now means best friend. That's not going to be anything like that. And this is pretty much a question of time before BFs eliminate their opposition from the land promptly as they can. Right now pretty good raiding from J squared, who is right now trying to somehow slow what Victini is doing, and he has just discovered where he is, so he knows what he has to be careful about, and well, some Imperial Age is being researched by J squared and also casted by Shorkis finally. Underwater though, Yellow has lost, as basically Blue's galleons are exactly what was needed to put him out of the commission here. And well, J squared is thinking quite ahead, because he is knowing that Elkbark has lost, which means that all the navy from Blue is advancing into an attack, and if he can finish the castle just in time, that could be a pretty decent defensible position for Purple to actually retreat to. Right now, Purple was the one to switch into the galleons, or rather into the war galleys, because obviously he is the first into Imperial from BF and will be having the galleons pretty soon. And can they finish the castle? Wow, this is damn close. This is damn close, and they can't. They can't. He needs to send some extra villages. Come on, come on, come on, come on. This is going to be finished anytime, though, because Ri right now has Galons himself, and yeah, this is going to be a pretty good stand. Those extra villagers from the wood are going to finish the castle, which will result in those Galons retreating, because they can't fight against the castle here. That is just now very, very cleverly dropped by J Squared, I have to say. On the mainland, we see that Red has finished the castle somehow, right inside Blue's, rather Green's base, and well, this is just going to be attempted to be destroyed by the villagers from Green, but obviously Green doesn't have enough, and Green has to be careful so that he doesn't sacrifice all that many villagers, as obviously this is not what he wants to do. At the top, Yellow is trying to build a castle himself. He's just castle dropping exactly like Red did on Green. He's trying to do the same to Blue, which is a pretty good idea because Blue doesn't have anything here. And well, this castle dropped is going to secure some extra stone for Yellow and also disrupt the economy from Blue on this raiding, or rather on this landing. So Teal is also making his way inside the base here, and rather inside the mainland. And is it going to be enough? Well, might not. Especially when he's running towards a pretty unfortunate spot where Victini has just lost villagers trying to build another TC, and well, pretty good job by J Square yet again, who is right now carrying the game altogether as a pocket for BFs. Yeah, this means that Teal has to retreat, needs to kill this wolf first, and Victini is right now paying some extra stone, or rather has been paying extra stone for shortlist to build some extra castle potentially, or another TC, probably just another TC. So yep, this is a huge little victory for El Quark, and somewhere on the water it seems like that Blue is finally forced back, and even though Yellow has lost the water battle right now, J Square is coming back with vengeance and quite substantially defeating the army on the water here. So Victini having to retreat, and the water is yet again safe for BFs. At the bottom, I'm kinda think that this is just waiting for Philip JS to advance into the Imperial Age and go for some elite cannon galleons. Or just normal cannon galleons to kill all those units here and villagers and also all those buildings. That's what I was wanting to say, not units. And well, this might be pretty much it for Red, but he is pretty well based on the mainland, and even though he's between 3 of his opponents, he's still doing pretty good job and basically killing Green 1v1, so that's a good job on that. But once this castle is finished, he will be having pretty good beachhead to defend against the potential attack from his opponent Yuzi. Well, but not for long, obviously, as Yuzi is advancing into Imperial Age, which is going to mean trebuchets pretty soon. He will at least stay alive and allow his teammates to win the battle for him. So yet another castle for Yellow. Let's switch into El Quark, who is at this point having pretty good economy, and he's just waiting for another few hundred of stone to actually drop another castle, and it's going to be dropped around here, basically just on top of Teal, which is really unfortunate for him because, yeah, obviously that's not ideal at all, and it seems like that he's not really all that interested in that. He's just interested in basically cornering Victini as potentially the best player from them, and well, unfortunately for him, that's too close to this castle, and he will need to kill that and potentially build it somewhere else. Even though, will he do that? It seems like he won't, and Blue wasn't really paying enough attention, it seems, and even though he's having quite a huge amount of army right now, probably elite cannon galleons or whatnot are not really far away if he can build them. Not exactly 100% sure at this point, but if he can, yeah, it's going to be a slight problem for the Yellow player, who is finishing this without any problem whatsoever in the end, even though it's under fire from the castle. And yeah, that's going to be resulting into yet another forest fire, fire into the forest here, to the Blue villagers. Some extra landing villages from Purple, and well, something else interesting here happening. Well, Purple has made his way inside Blue's base actually, so that means that Blue is not having any kind of respite here from the water battle, and well, definitely a good job by J Squared in coming back into the water battle, and he is at this point winning quite substantially, and Blue is not having any luck trying to lure those units, those naval units outside, or rather under the castle. And finally the trebuchet is in, and well, Yellow will be having to actually somehow repair it, because otherwise he's going to be killed. And I kinda think that he doesn't really care all that much, because he's having those 2 extra castles that are just disrupting whatever Victini was doing, and basically just supplying enough of protection for his whole base and enough nuisance for his opponent to actually be worth it. On the left, we can see that finally Green has made his way inside Teal's base, or next to his main island, and Blue is the only one who is right now defending him, because Teal is not defending himself at all, and well, he's right now thinking that he can maybe do something on the mainland, but not against yet another castle from Elkvar, and it seems like that this is mainly his fun right now, trying to drop as many castles as he can, but he needs to be careful because the number of those trebuchets is just coming up, and it might not be good enough, especially when you can see that Victini has been able to amass enough cap trams to take the castles down without any extra help that he would need. So this means that Blue will be basically safe, and Yellow will have to follow up with something else, because castles are not going to be good enough, and they are right now just going to be quite a lot of resources spent without anything substantial to save for them, which is slightly unfortunate. And well, I'm just waiting who can actually win the battle somewhere here, and you can see that Green is not winning against Red. Red is doing a pretty good job in trying to eliminate Green, and even though Green is killing his main island basically altogether, just trying to make sure somehow he should make sure that those villages are not gathering. That's kind of unfortunate for him that he's allowing that, but all those samurais are a pretty nice army at this point, and if he can get in some extra siege, like from the Imperial Age, yeah, he can build some trebuchets, it could be enough, and well, he's not needed then, because Galling Galleons are making an appearance from the Viking in purple colors. So pretty good job, and it will be just enough that he needs to get rid of all this nonsense, and well, yeah, those were unfortunate placement of those monks, but still, those 6 extra will be pretty strong indeed. I'm just looking what Teal, or rather Purple, is doing. He's just engaging on the water altogether, so he's just making as many boats as he can, and well, he's right now being joined with the Cannon Galleon at the top as well, and he will be disrupting the economy of Blue altogether, and once he can stop this gold gathering, that could be pretty much it, because they don't have all that much of a safe gold they have on the left, but it's not really all that safe as you would have maybe hoped, because obviously Teal is not having that much of an army, just now this siege workshop and ×2, and they might be thinking about something else altogether, maybe some extra cap trams or whatever. Yeah, that could be it. I saved, well, what? Not exactly sure, but you can see that Yellow was under some kind of attack from Blue, and these were basically just the units that we have seen basically taking care of those castles that were here by Yellow. So that's pretty much it. And even though Blue was trying to repay in kind to his opponent, well, that's not really going to work out for him, because obviously Yellow is having too many villages here at this point, but well, let's not say that's really over, because somehow BFs are letting this game trickle through their fingers, because Red is basically a beast at this point, and carrying all the DmX are doing. As he's doing pretty well indeed because of those extra siege, and well, getting rid of all those town centers, and it seems like that BFs have somehow underestimated the position here, because they literally need some kind of army and they have nothing. They were having just castles and economy, and they are having no units whatsoever, which is very curious indeed at this point. And well, it seems like that Green should be the one to win the battle on the land as well. He was being helped by Purple, who has gotten rid of the castle. That was a problem for the samurais, and right now the samurais are making their way inside Red's base and killing all the villages that they can get their hands on, and doing a pretty good job at that. Well. Okay, so another castle being dropped by yet another veteran ram. Right now it's from Teal, that's from Shorkis. Okay, so that's a pretty good job at that. And on the mainland, or rather on the water, do we see something interesting? Not really. It's just continuation of what was happening there, and that's Purple winning the water overall, but not convincingly. He's just keeping Blue on the water. He just should kill him. Just should finish him and really put him out of the water altogether, because it's all about also a bit of a psychological battle, because if you can decimate your opponent at least on the water, it could just really build him and result in some kind of bad thinking and not ideal gameplay. So all the players are finally into Imperial Age, and you can see that Purple has been also dropping some villages on the right side with some extra stables as a Viking, so he's probably hoping to raid his opponent, and well, will he be successful at that? Since he is not having any kind of opposition so far, he might be, but he better be careful about this cap tram, because Blue is well aware what's happening here because of those boats, and finally it seems like purple is winning the water convincingly, and blue is just hiding a few boats here, and I'm kind of thinking that he's not even thinking all that substantially about fighting back. He's just right now trying to make sure that he can transport all of those villagers through the transport boat onto the mainland. So finally some kind of army from yellow, and is he going to be helped by something? Well, they need to get rid of this castle and those trebuchets together with the Bangunan because they are a huge problem. And well, Victini is just waiting for the right moment to pounce because he's trying to make an army of halberdiers, which is a pretty good idea, as obviously he knows that Elkwark is going for cavaliers. And well, paladins soon after. Yep, you can see that he's clicked in. Green from the bottom is trying to kill red, and he's very successful in that. It seems like that he has basically eliminated it from game at this point. So yeah, that's a pretty good job. And well, yellow is just joining him at this position, and really it seems like even though this was a pretty nice attack, an attempt from red to join with blue and kill somehow as he could his opponent yellow, that's not really going to work out because green is right now coming back with vengeance and trying to kill as much as he can, and it seems like that red is trying to join with blue, which might be working if blue can get into the water battle, or rather into the land battle, as strongly as he could into the water one. So that's a lot of cavaliers at this point, and once they will be joined by the samurais, that's going to be exactly the correct kind of army, because obviously that's not going to be anything that the halberdiers can fight, as samurais would just wreck them all together, and together with the help of those cavaliers, yeah, that wouldn't be an army that they would be wanting to fight. This is basically what Philip JS is right now recognizing, and since, yeah, green is having quite a decent amount of the fast trebuchets here, that's goodbye castle, and also goodbye all this archery range, DC, and all those archery ranges from blue as well. So it's just going to be a question of time before those armies clash, and well, this seems to be heading in pretty much an inevitable end right now for DmX, especially once the water is finally convincingly win for purple and the whole BF team. Well, but let's not be hasty here, because it seems like the DmX Shortcase is trying to make a comeback through water. Well, comeback, he wasn't on the water from the very start, so right now he's actually making his appearance for the first time. And somehow we see the first GGs right now being called for blue. And well, that might be kinda it, because yep, the mainline is gone, and this is it. These are the GGs, and very well played by BFs in the end, even though DmX definitely were looking to actually turn the game around, but they couldn't finish as they weren't fast enough, and BFs did have enough time to somehow bring their A game back into the game. And yes, this is exactly the engagement that was expected to decide how this game is going to develop. So, pretty good job, and quite interesting game overall, really. That was quite interesting indeed. So let's have a look at the achievements at this point. And we will see as Philip having the most score, J squared also pretty good, and DmX Victini as the best from DmX. Pretty nice sling from J squared, yeah, we have seen that he was slinging quite a lot, and Shorkis was also slinging as a pocket, and they were kinda equal. Shorkis slightly better, but it didn't pay off as well as it did for BFs. And just 73 villages. Well, he did lose on the water quite substantially against Philip JS, who was going for the feudal age battle, whereas Yuzi went for faster castle, and it wasn't the correct decision. GG then.